This happened during my junior year at a public high school in Pennsylvania. Our school was old, like built in the 1930s kind of old. You could feel it in the creaky floors, the radiators that hissed like snakes, and the chipped brick walls. The art room was in the basement, half underground, with tiny barred windows at the top of the wall that let in barely any light. I had art class right before lunch, and one day, our teacher, Mrs. Duncan, asked me to grab some acrylic paints from the storage room across the hall. She gave me the key and warned me not to take long. Typical Mrs. Duncan tone. I'd never been in that room before. It had a weird reputation. Some of the older kids said it used to be a fallout shelter or something, and others joked it was where the school janitor kept dead kids. I laughed that stuff off until I actually went down there. The door creaked open, and the air hit me like a wall. It was way colder than the hallway, and it smelled like wet cement and something spoiled. I flicked on the light switch. The lights buzzed and flickered, typical fluorescent junk, but they eventually stayed on. I walked in, and the door slowly creaked shut behind me. I found the paint on a shelf, but when I turned to leave, I heard it, shuffling, like someone dragging their feet behind me. I spun around, but no one was there. I stood still, listening. Then I heard a whisper, my name, not loud, not aggressive, just a soft, slithery voice like someone saying it through a crack in a door. I dropped the paints. One rolled under a shelf. I bent down to grab it, and when I looked back up, there was a face in the crack between two shelves. Pale, sunken eyes, just watching. I screamed, not like a little yelp, like a full-on scream. I ran so hard I slammed the door open and knocked over a mop bucket in the hallway. Mrs. Duncan came out and started yelling at me until she saw my face. I couldn't even talk. I couldn't sleep for a week. They investigated and told me it was probably a homeless person who snuck in somehow. But here's the thing. That room had only one entrance. And when I looked back later that week, the crack where I saw the face, it was between two bolted metal shelves. There's no way someone could have fit between them. I transferred out of that art class the next day. In 8th grade, our middle school went into lockdown one afternoon during 5th period. We were used to drills, but this time, it was real. We didn't know it at the time, but a student had gone missing during lunch, and someone found his backpack in the stairwell leading to the 3rd floor gym. His name was Jason M. He was this quiet kid, very lanky, kind of awkward. Nobody really picked on him, but no one was close to him either. He mostly kept to himself, always had a sketchbook with him. They searched the school for 4 hours that day. They eventually let us go home early, and the next day, the principal told us they'd contacted Jason's parents and filed a missing person report. But here's the part that still keeps me up at night. My friend Derek and I had gone back to school that evening. Derek's mom was a janitor and gave us permission to help clean the cafeteria for extra credit. Around 7 p.m., while we were cleaning tables, Derek said he had to grab something from his locker on the 2nd floor. I went with him. The hallways were dark, except for a few flickering emergency lights. When we turned the corner by the row of lockers, I swear to God, we heard someone crying, like this low, muffled sobbing sound. Derek thought it was a prank. He walked down the row, listening. I stayed back. Then he yelled, "Yo, Jason?" Silence. Suddenly, from inside one of the lockers, 3 or 4 down from Derek's, we heard banging. Hard, desperate banging. He ran over and tried to open it. It was locked. He looked at me and said, "Go get someone." I ran to find his mom, but when we got back, the banging had stopped. We unlocked the locker. It was empty. No trace of anyone, not even scratches. Jason was never found. 6 months later, a new student was assigned that locker. First week in, he quit school and refused to come back. His mom said he kept having night terrors about someone banging from inside a metal box, whispering, "Help me, help me, help me." This happened in high school during senior year. One of our English teachers went on maternity leave, and we got a long-term sub named Mr. Abel. He was different. Not creepy at first, just strange. He never blinked. I know that sounds dramatic, but I swear I went the entire 45-minute class without seeing him blink once. He'd stare straight at students when they were reading, like he was studying them. And he talked in this slow, deliberate way, even when asking normal stuff like, "Who wants to read next?" One day, he handed out this poem called "When They Watch," some obscure piece that no one had heard of. It was about someone being followed by silent watchers who mimicked them and slowly replaced them. Everyone thought it was just some edgy poetry. That night, a girl in our class named Teresa went missing. She was the last to leave that classroom after school. The next day, Mr. Abel didn't mention it at all. He acted completely normal. When the principal came in to ask if anyone saw Teresa, Mr. Abel just smiled and said, "She seemed happy yesterday." That gave me the chills. I decided to look him up that night. Couldn't find anything. No social media. No mention of him on teacher databases. I even asked the front office where he came from, and they just said, "We got him through the district." Super vague. Then weird things started happening. 3 people from that class dropped out. One claimed she saw Mr. Abel standing in her backyard at night. I started noticing something terrifying.